This is big breaking news. The federal government and the Department of Justice has just issued a major warning to hundreds of cities across the United States, including major cities like Boston, New York City, Denver, and Chicago. So let's get into all the details here. Really quick, guys, please just hit that like and hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos every single day, keeping you guys updated on this big urgent news, and it just helps to get these warnings out. I appreciate that. So this is what's happening. The head of the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, has just been sworn in as the Attorney General, and she is directing the Department of Justice to, quote, identify and evaluate funding agreements with, quote, non-governmental organizations that provide support to undocumented immigration into the United States. She also tasked the department with investigating instances of sanctuary city jurisdictions obstructing law enforcement and, quote, directing they can be prosecuted when necessary. All right, so this is major. She is saying that they are going to target certain non-governmental organizations, NGOs, that are providing material support to illegal migration into the United States. And she's also saying that certain officials and these NGOs could be prosecuted, quote, directing they can be prosecuted, quote, when necessary. This is major. All right, this is a major tide change, and this is going to stop a lot of these sanctuary city policies from being implemented with this pressure from the Department of Justice. All right, there's going to be lawsuits and battles going back and forth, but she has jurisdiction. They are breaking U.S. laws by providing material funding and support to these certain groups and organizations to break U.S. law, right? So she has standing and jurisdiction to do this. Also, it says here, several offices within the Justice Department. Sorry, it's cold out here. All right, I'm a little chilly. I should have put my big jacket on. Provided $1.56 billion in grants to sanctuary cities in 2023. And she is also saying that federal funding will be withheld if these cities continue to implement their, quote, sanctuary city policies. It says cutting this funding source could, quote, disrupt critical programs funded by federal dollars, including public safety initiatives, disaster relief, housing support, and healthcare services. These cuts are not just an attack on immigration, but they are also an assault on the well-being of every resident in these cities. That's what nonprofits are saying in response to this in a group statement, right? So she's saying that she's going to cut off federal funding to these cities, but all they have to do is follow the law, right? And people are saying it's illegal to cut off funding. Well, it's also illegal to enact these sanctuary city policies and to refuse to cooperate with ICE and law enforcement. ICE, the DOJ, FBI, all these different federal law enforcement agencies that are trying to do missions. They're prevented and stifled from these sanctuary cities, and they block them actively. And sometimes they will even release people that have ICE detainers. Okay, ICE will put out a detainer for somebody that was picked up for a crime. It could even be a violent crime. Sometimes they're picked up for very heinous crimes and given federal government retainers to keep them there, and they let them go. They allow them to leave on bail or some other process, and then the federal officials cannot find them, right? So that's happening all over the country. They're refusing to cooperate, and she's saying if that happens, then there will be a withholding of federal funds. So this is major that we're seeing this. It also says here that Donald Trump signed an executive order directing the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security to, quote, the maximum extent possible under law, evaluate and undertake any lawful actions to ensure the so-called sanctuary jurisdictions which seek to interfere with the lawful exercise of federal law enforcement operations do not receive access to federal funds. So this is also a federal executive order that's been signed by Trump as well, a directive. And now that he has his Attorney General sworn in, they can actually implement this agenda. All right, so let me know what you guys think down below. Please just hit it up for me down there. It helps so people know what is going on in our country. Big changes are happening right now. And it's also been announced too that the mayors of New York City, Boston, Chicago, and Denver have confirmed that they will attend a oversight committee hearing on March 5th to answer for their, quote, sanctuary city policies. All right, they've been given a request by the Congress to testify at this hearing and to defend their positions on this policy and why they are doing this. All right, and certain mayors, especially in these lineups, have been very vocal and very outspoken, saying that they are going to openly defy federal law enforcement. Some of them have even said that they are going to risk being arrested, things like that, to prevent federal law enforcement from doing their job, right? So they are now being brought in front of the Congress to testify, right? And there's actually over 170 sanctuary cities inside the United States, right? So pretty crazy that there are this many cities in the US, but over 170. And these cities are all over the country and lots of states that you would not expect have these sanctuary jurisdictions inside of them as well too, right? They're in Utah, they're in Nebraska, there's sanctuary cities in Wyoming, Idaho, North Dakota, there's some in Louisiana, right? South Carolina, North Carolina, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, New Mexico, New York, right? Massachusetts, California. These sanctuary jurisdictions and cities are everywhere. Illinois, Wisconsin, Tennessee. Okay, they're all over the place. Places even you would not expect to see these types of things happening. It's happening, right? So there could be federal funding cut from these cities, and you might not even agree with these policies or anything. And now and if you live near these cities or live in one of these cities, now you have to deal with this. Now federal funding is cut. All because the city leaders will not just follow the law. And now federal funding is cut, and now things potentially get even worse in a situation like this, because a lot of this funding is tied to public safety and grants and money for police departments, for equipment, for updating things, for federal programs, right, that are maintained through this money as well too, for public safety, things like that. A lot of these things will be affected, and then the situation could just get even worse, right? So you're already dealing with this other stuff, and then now city leaders will not cooperate with the federal government. Now you lose federal funds, and now things just got even worse in your city potentially, or less safe, or now people are struggling more. Okay, so let me know what you guys think down below. Make sure you guys are staying safe and staying prepared out there. I hope you guys have big blessings for your life and your family. And I hope you have a big old blessed day.